Immortality's Edge. High Admiral Venar of the Vatheri Stellar Union stood motionless before the observation deck's panoramic window, his milky eyes fixed on the blue-green planet that had appeared in their star charts merely 6 decades ago, a blink in the life of a Vatheri. At 23,000 years old, Venar was considered middle-aged among his kind. The Vatheri had conquered aging 12 millennia ago, their bodies suspended in perpetual adulthood, their cellular structure resistant to decay. Another life-bearing world, said Science Director Lyria, her voice carrying the unmistakable weariness of one who had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. At 35,000 years, she was among the oldest aboard the exploration vessel Endless Legacy. This one possesses nuclear capabilities, Venar noted, studying the data streaming across the holographic display. And they've achieved rudimentary space travel. The 13th such species we've encountered, Lyria replied with scholarly detachment. They'll be gone in a few thousand years, like all the others. Insufficient resources, environmental collapse, or self-destruction. The pattern never varies. But as the Endless Legacy settled into orbit around Earth and began passive monitoring, something unusual became apparent. The species that called themselves humans exhibited an extraordinary rate of technological advancement. Their civilization had progressed from basic agriculture to space exploration in less than 10,000 years, a pace unprecedented in Vatheri records. Their lifespans are remarkably brief, Communications Officer Talon observed with fascination. Barely a century at their maximum. Venar's expression remained unchanged, but his voice carried a hint of incredulity. How can any species achieve meaningful progress when individuals exist for such a limited time? For 3 months, the Vatheri observed humanity from orbit, their ship's advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible to Earth's detection systems. They monitored communications, studied cultural transmissions, and compiled extensive data on human society, contrary to protocol, which dictated a minimum observation period of 50 years before any contact decision. Venar called a council meeting after just 90 days. Their rate of advancement is concerning, he stated simply. In the time we've been watching, they've developed 17 major technological innovations. At this pace, they'll achieve interstellar capability within a century. Science Director Lyria's eyes narrowed. That can't be right. Species with such brief lifespans shouldn't be capable of such progress. There must be a miscalculation. The data is accurate, Talon insisted. They appear to thrive under the pressure of their mortality. It drives them forward at an extraordinary rate. After much deliberation, a full week, which was considered hasty by Vatheri standards, the Council voted unanimously for first contact. As the eternal guardians of galactic stability, the Vatheri had a duty to establish diplomatic relations with any species approaching interstellar capability. The day humanity learned they were not alone changed Earth forever. The Vatheri ship decloaked over the United Nations headquarters in New York, and Venar addressed the world's leaders with the measured calm of a being who had witnessed the birth and death of stars. "We come in peace," he announced, using the humans' own cliched greeting, which Vatheri linguists had extracted from their entertainment transmissions. "We are the Vatheri, and we have watched your civilization with great interest." The initial shock gave way to cautious diplomacy. A special council was formed, the Human Vatheri Relations Committee, to manage the unprecedented relationship. Dr. Sophia Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, was appointed as humanity's scientific liaison. From the beginning, the fundamental difference between the species became apparent. Time, where humans rushed to establish treaties, exchange knowledge, and integrate Vatheri technology, the visitors operated at a glacial pace. What seemed an urgent matter to humans was approached by the Vatheri with the deliberation of those who had millennia to consider their options. "You must understand," Venar explained to a visibly frustrated UN Security Council 3 months after first contact. "We have existed for over 50,000 years as a civilization. We have learned that hasty decisions lead to catastrophic outcomes. With respect, Admiral, replied UN Secretary-General Okafor, humanity doesn't have the luxury of centuries-long deliberations. Climate change threatens our coastal cities. Resource scarcity has brought us to the brink of conflict. Your environmental technology could save millions of lives if implemented now. We will share our technology, Venar assured him, once we have properly assessed all potential consequences, perhaps in a decade or two. As the diplomatic impasse continued, Dr. Chen made a breakthrough in her research, granted limited access to Vathari biological data as a gesture of goodwill. She discovered something extraordinary about their neural structure. Their brains are fundamentally different from ours, she explained to the scientific committee. Their neural pathways become increasingly fixed with age. The oldest Vathari, those over 30,000 years, show almost no neuroplasticity. Meaning what exactly? Asked Dr. James Wong, her research partner. Meaning they literally cannot change their minds, Sophia replied. Their immortality comes at a cost. The older they get, the less capable they are of adapting to new ideas or circumstances. Their thinking becomes calcified. This discovery coincided with an unexpected crisis. A massive solar flare damaged the Vathari ship's propulsion system, leaving it stranded in Earth orbit. Under normal circumstances, the Vathari would have repaired it methodically over several years. But Earth scientists calculated that the disabled vessel's orbit would decay within 6 months, potentially causing catastrophic damage if it fell to the planet's surface. We must evacuate your crew to Earth while we work together to repair your ship or stabilize its orbit, Secretary-General Okafor urged. Venar and the Vathari Council deliberated for 2 weeks before responding. Precious time lost. We cannot rush the repair process, Venar finally announced. Our technology must be handled with precision. We estimate completion of repairs will take approximately 3 years. Admiral, Sophia intervened, speaking directly to Venar during an emergency session. Your ship will impact Earth in less than 6 months. Millions could die. For the first time, a flicker of distress crossed Venar's ageless face. That cannot be correct. Our calculations are based on ideal conditions, Sophia finished for him. But the solar flare damaged your gravitational stabilizers. The decay is accelerating. The Vathari Council retreated once more into deliberation. As they conferred in their characteristic silence, Sophia approached Lyria, the science director with whom she had established a tentative rapport. Your people can't solve this problem quickly enough, can you? Sophia asked quietly. Lyria's ancient eyes met hers. We have never needed to. For 12,000 years, we have had the luxury of time. But we don't have that luxury now, Sophia pressed. Let us help. Human engineers, working alongside your technicians, we specialize in rapid solutions. Imperfect solutions, Lyria corrected. Imperfect solutions that work, Sophia countered. Isn't that better than a perfect solution that comes too late? For several long moments, Lyria said nothing. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, Perhaps there is wisdom in your brevity that we have forgotten in our eternity. The next day, against Venar's objections, Lyria authorized a joint human-Vathari engineering team. For the first time in millennia, the Immortals found themselves working at a pace dictated by urgency rather than perfection. The cultural clash was immediate and profound. Human engineers proposed makeshift solutions that horrified their Vathari counterparts. The Immortals insisted on meticulous calculations that the humans deemed unnecessarily time-consuming. But as the orbit continued to decay, something remarkable began to happen. Adaptation. The youngest Vathari engineers, those under 10,000 years old, began to embrace the humans' methodology. They found ways to merge Vathari precision with human improvisation. The older Immortals remained resistant, their neural pathways too fixed to accommodate new approaches. 4 months into the crisis, with the ship's orbit deteriorating faster than predicted, the joint team presented their solution. a temporary gravitational tether anchored to an array of Earth satellites, which would stabilize the vessel long enough to complete repairs. The concept was human. The technology was Vatheri. The implementation would require both. This is untested, Venar objected during a presentation. The risk of failure is less than the certainty of disaster if we do nothing. Sophia interrupted. Admiral, sometimes the perfect is the enemy of the good enough. As Venar struggled to process this concept, Lyria stepped forward. I support this plan, she announced, an unprecedented break from the consensus-based Vatheri decision-making process. We must adapt or face consequences neither of our species can afford. The schism that followed divided the Vatheri along age lines. The younger Immortals sided with Lyria, while the elders backed Venar. For a civilization that had operated on consensus for thousands of years, this disagreement was unprecedented and transformative. In the end, necessity prevailed. The gravitational tether was deployed, stabilizing the vessel's orbit. But the crisis had revealed a fundamental truth about the cost of immortality. The Vatheri had traded adaptability for permanence, a bargain whose full price they were only now beginning to understand. The price of forever. As the gravitational tether hummed into operation, stabilizing the massive Vatheri vessel in Earth orbit, an unexpected secondary crisis emerged. The intense radiation from the solar flare had not only damaged the ship's systems, but had triggered a rare physiological response in several Vatheri crew members, something their medical records indicated had not occurred in over 8,000 years. We're calling it neural cascade failure, Dr. Ilara, the Vatheri chief medical officer, explained to Sophia. At just 7,000 years old, Ilara was considered almost childlike by her species, and had proven to be one of the most adaptable to working with humans. The radiation disrupted the cellular mechanisms that maintain our neural stability. Sophia studied the brain scans displayed on the medical bay's holographic projector. These patterns almost look like accelerated learning pathways in human brains. Precisely, Ilara confirmed. The affected Vatheri are experiencing rapid neural reconfiguration. Their fixed pathways are dissolving and reforming at unprecedented rates. Isn't that a good thing? Asked Dr. Wong, who had joined the medical team. More neuroplasticity means greater adaptability. Ilara's expression darkened. You don't understand. Neural stability is the foundation of Vatheri immortality. These individuals are experiencing something our species eliminated millennia ago. They are changing. The implications hit Sophia like a physical blow. Your immortality requires neural stasis. You've engineered yourselves to stop evolving, mentally and physically. Of course, Ilara replied, as if this were self-evident. Permanence requires constancy. The price of eternal life is eternal sameness. As repairs to the ship continued, 17 affected Vatheri were quarantined in the medical bay. Their symptoms progressed rapidly. Increased cognitive flexibility, enhanced creativity, and emotional volatility. Traits the Vatheri had methodically bred out of their species over countless generations of genetic refinement. Most disturbing to the unaffected Vatheri was the emergence of a trait they had no word for, but which humans recognized immediately: curiosity. They're asking questions, Venar reported to the council, his voice betraying genuine alarm. Not seeking known information, but asking about possibilities, alternatives, hypotheticals. It's destabilizing. Science Director Lyria, who had been spending increasing time with the human engineers, spoke up. Perhaps we should consider that some destabilization might be beneficial. Our response to this crisis would have failed without human intervention. Their adaptability saved us. At what cost? Venar challenged. These affected crew members are experiencing accelerated neural decay. If unchecked, they might actually develop terminal cellular breakdown. The word hung in the air, unspoken yet understood by all. Death. A concept so foreign to the Vatheri that many of their younger members had never witnessed it. Meanwhile, the joint human Vatheri engineering team made a breakthrough in their repair efforts. By combining Vathery precision technology with human improvisational methods, they developed a reconstruction protocol that could restore the ship's propulsion system in weeks rather than years. The solution was inelegant by Vathery standards, a patchwork of temporary fixes that would require refinement over time. But it would work. The human engineers celebrated this achievement with characteristic exuberance, a display that bewildered their Vathery counterparts, all except one. Talon, the young communications officer who had been among the first affected by neural cascade failure. "I understand now," Talon told Sophia during the celebration. "Your joy comes from the awareness of limitation. When time is finite, accomplishment becomes meaningful." Sophia nodded. "We celebrate because we know we won't be here forever. Each achievement might be our last." "A strange and beautiful perspective," Talon mused. "I've lived for 6,000 years, yet I feel as though I'm experiencing existence for the first time." As the ship repairs neared completion, Ilara made a startling discovery. The affected Vathery weren't experiencing neural degradation as initially feared. They were undergoing neural restructuring. Their brains weren't breaking down. They were reorganizing into patterns remarkably similar to human neural networks, with one crucial difference. They retained the perfect memory and processing capability of Vathery minds. "It's a hybrid neural structure," Ilara explained to the assembled human Vathery medical team. "The stability of our immortality combined with the adaptability of human consciousness. Can it be reversed?" Venner demanded when informed of the discovery. "Should it be?" countered Lyria. "These individuals report experiencing greater fulfillment, purpose, and meaning than at any point in their thousands of years of existence." The division among the Vathery deepened. The elder council members, led by Venner, advocated for immediate development of a treatment to reverse the changes, viewing them as a contamination of Vathery purity. A growing faction of younger immortals, however, began to question the bargain their species had made, trading growth for permanence, possibility for certainty. As the ship's repairs were completed and the immediate crisis resolved, humanity faced a momentous decision. The Vathery Council, following their traditional protocols, proposed a measured withdrawal from Earth to analyze the encounter before proceeding with further contact, a process that would take at least a century by their standards. "We cannot absorb change at your pace," Venner explained to Secretary General Okafor during what was intended as a farewell meeting. "We must process these experiences carefully to avoid cultural contamination." "With respect, Admiral," Okafor replied. "I believe that ship has already sailed. Your people have been changed by this encounter, just as mine have." Indeed, 32 Vathery crew members now exhibited the neural restructuring pattern, and the condition appeared to be spreading through continued contact. More significantly, these affected Vathery had formally requested to remain on Earth as cultural ambassadors, an unprecedented break from their species' unified existence. The final resolution came not from diplomatic negotiations, but from an unexpected quarter. Talon, whose neural restructuring was the most advanced, addressed a joint assembly of human leaders and the Vathery Council. "For 12,000 years, our species has existed in stasis," Talon began. "We conquered death, but in doing so, we ceased to truly live. We accumulated knowledge without gaining wisdom. We observed the universe without participating in its evolution." A murmur ran through the Vathery Council members. Disagreement was rare enough, but public dissent was unprecedented. "Humanity has shown us what we sacrifice for immortality," Talon continued. "The urgency that drives innovation, the impermanence that gives meaning, the adaptation that enables growth." Venner rose to object, but Talon pressed on. "I propose a new path forward. Those Vathery who wish to remain as we have always been should return to our homeworld. But those of us who have been awakened to the possibility of change seek permission to establish a colony on Earth, to live alongside humanity and rediscover what it means to evolve." The debate raged for weeks. The elder Vathery could not comprehend why any of their kind would choose uncertainty over permanence, the risk of death over the guarantee of eternal existence. But to the affected Vatheri, the answer was simple. Immortality without growth was not life, but merely prolonged existence. In the end, a compromise was reached. The Vatheri vessel would return to their homeworld with those who wished to maintain their traditional way of life. A smaller ship would remain in Earth orbit, housing the 117 Vatheri, who had chosen what they now called the awakened path, a life of change, growth, and eventually mortality. Before departing, Venner spoke privately with Sophia, his expression revealing a complexity of emotion previously absent. "I have lived for 23,000 years," he said quietly. "I have seen the rise and fall of stars. Yet in these few months, I have been forced to question certainties I have held for millennia." "That's what makes life interesting," Sophia replied. "The questions, not the certainties." "Perhaps," Venner conceded, "but I fear what your brief, burning lives will do to my people in the long term." Sophia smiled. "And we wonder what your perspective of eternity might teach us. That's why this partnership matters." As the main Vatheri vessel prepared to depart, Science Director Lyria made her own surprising announcement. She would remain with the Earth colony. At 35,000 years old, she was by far the oldest Vatheri to choose the awakened path. "Why?" Venner asked her, genuine bewilderment in his voice. "After all this time, why would you choose limitation?" Lyria considered the question carefully, in the measured way of one who had contemplated existence for millennia. "Because I have realized that immortality without change is a prison, not a gift. I have existed for 35,000 years, but I have not truly lived since we conquered death." As the Vatheri ship disappeared into the depths of space, humanity began its new relationship with the immortals who had chosen to stay. The exchange transformed both species. Humans gained access to technology and knowledge accumulated over 50 millennia, while the Vatheri rediscovered the purpose and meaning that comes from facing an uncertain future. The hybrid neural structure of the awakened Vatheri began to appear in their offspring, a perfect balance between stability and adaptability, between the preservation of knowledge and the creation of new ideas. Neither fully Vatheri nor human, these children represented something entirely new, beings who could remember the distant past yet remained open to an unpredictable future. And in this unexpected union, both species discovered a profound truth. Immortality's greatest value lies not in endless existence, but in the wisdom to know that some things must change to have meaning, and that the most precious gift of consciousness is not its duration but its depth. In the centuries that followed, as humanity and their Vatheri partners ventured together into the stars, they carried this wisdom with them, a philosophy born from the meeting of eternities and moments, a balance between the preservation of what was and the creation of what might be. The immortals had taught humanity the value of patience and perspective. Humanity had reminded the immortals of the joy of discovery and the beauty of impermanence. Together, they found something greater than either could have achieved alone. A way of being that honored both the infinite and the fleeting, the perfect and the good enough, the certainty of knowledge and the wonder of mystery. And in this balance, they discovered a truth that neither species alone could have grasped, that the universe's greatest gift is not endless time, but the courage to use whatever time we have to grow, to change, and to connect with others across the vast differences that separate us, and the even vaster commonalities that bind us together as conscious beings in an infinite cosmos.